All right, so we are here again with French Press Friday. I've actually, again, have a cup of tea. I've had less coffee on French Press Friday um, since I started doing French Press Friday, essentially. So,
Unfortunately.
but we're here with Erika Stepp. Am I right pronouncing that last name?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
I'm really excited because Erika, you're the first person out of the state of Minnesota that I've talked to. So I'm curious about things that are happening within your state, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So thank you so much.
Cool.
I should point out two things. One, I would like people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. About 80% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribers. So please take a minute to do that. And also a shout out to Craig Paré. Because he is the one that connected me and Erika. I got to know Craig a little bit this summer, pretty much via email. He's the director at DePauw University is that in Plainfield?
It's in Greencastle.
Greencastle, okay. You're in Plainfield though.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about your school and the grades that you teach.
Yeah, so this is actually my first year here. So I'm at Plainfield Middle School. I teach grades 6, 7, and 8. And, do whatever from that. So solo ensemble, jazz band just started last month. And then anything in class, concert band stuff. Pep band was supposed to be a thing this year and obviously not. So hopefully next year. But yeah, basically everything 6 through 8 band. And I have about 285 students in the middle school band program. But again, this is my first year here. So we're hoping that things continue to be really good, successful. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of kids to manage though.
Yeah.
So what's your teaching model right now? What are you guys in, hybrid or?
So we're all in person. We've had 1 week of e-learning. So the week after Thanksgiving as precaution, or the week after fall break, excuse me, they took precaution and just said, let's do e-learning just to make sure that if COVID cases pop up, that'll happen at home before you send your kid back to school. So besides that, we've been in person. And then with cases, if you're a close contact, we have kids out. So right now, like I'm missing 30% of my 8th graders, and it's different kids every day, which I know everybody's dealing with, but we've been lucky to stay in school. The school's been very supportive to keep us in. They want us to keep being here. So we have lots of kids in and out. We also have the option for kids to be remote. So I don't know what that number is right now, but last they told us it was around 100 kids in the middle school. So out of probably less than 10% of the student body that's doing remote who chose to do so.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're in a hybrid where we had been for the most part, but our problem actually came because we didn't have subs. It had less to do with the student body, and we just didn't have the subs for classes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So what would you say has been the most difficult thing this year? Has it been managing the flux of kids moving in and out of like distance learning, or?
That has definitely been challenging. I think, and the school's been getting better and better at dealing with that situation, I think. So right now, during every class period, we're expected to host a Google Meet and our kids are expected to join. So even if they're at home as a close contact, they're still expected with their school device to join in with class and follow along. So for me, I'm not really hearing them play because obviously having them live versus our live doesn't match. But they're still playing along, so they're not losing their chops of, not playing for 2 weeks while they're gone. So that's been really nice just to be able to still see the kids and then have some social interactions. Of course, there's kids who don't actually do that, and so we don't see them for a while. But I think that's gotten easier to manage. Of course, catching up on grades when kids are gone for a long time is harder. But actually keeping them engaged and active in class hasn't been too bad lately. Honestly, for me, I think the biggest challenge, and this is just because it's my first year here, is just it's a lot of new on top of everyone's dealing with change. So that's been the biggest challenge for me, I think, is just this is a completely new setup for me. I came from teaching 6th through 12th grade band at a school that was maybe less than a third of the size of this. So I was doing more things, but with fewer kids in a very small rural community, and now being in kind of the suburbs is just a lot different. So, leaving kids, we're done in March. Their band director of the kids that I have retired, and the kids didn't really get their goodbye, and same thing on our end. And so having that kind of new rollover right in the middle of a pandemic was kind of challenging. So I think just making those connections with kids, even though they all have masks on and, you know, we can't do concerts and I can't meet parents and all that kind of stuff. That's been the challenging part for me, I think, is just I see the kids, but it's harder to make those connections than normal, I think, just because of everything everyone's dealing with. So that's probably the biggest challenge. But again, consistency is challenging for everybody right now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was just thinking about, so I do a little bit with the beginning band program, but then I'm mostly the high school. And so like ninth graders and fifth graders are the new ones to me, and I'm trying to learn names. And I've had these really funny instances where I'm actually, when they're in the band room and they're masked, I'm pretty good at identifying now. If I see them in the lunchroom and they don't have their mask on, I'm like,
Story.
show me those eyes. What?
That's funny. It's, yeah, we have to completely learn kids in a new way. And I'm always surprised, like when I first see their face, I'm like, oh, I didn't think you'd look like that.
Have you developed anything different, or are you just using the like old techniques to get to know names?
Names, I mean, for the most part, did pretty well. Surprisingly, I think the biggest thing was just I had to make myself take time in class every day to really make those connections with kids and be like, all right, and make it a challenge for me and the kids like seeing that. This
Yeah.
I'm going to learn this row. You know, I'm going to learn 20 kids in each class today, and then we're going to build on, and I will forget tomorrow. But I think taking that time to show the kids that I cared to make sure I learned all 300 of them was important to me, and I think that they appreciated that as well.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever relied on seating charts so much as this year. And I'll have it slyly in the corner, you know, and be like, Jeff, you know, like I didn't just look at that paper.
No, the first 2 weeks were definitely like that, every single class, but and anymore, it's gone pretty well.
Good. So has there been anything particularly positive that's come this week? I really like to focus on positive things. Have you had any great experiences this week?
So some couple of cool things that the kids are doing right now in a couple of other classes is writing Christmas cards to teachers and leaving positive comments for them, which, you know, I think especially with kids this age, we're not used to hearing those things from them. It's just they want to play music. And so hearing some positive comments from them this week has been really nice and encouraging and motivating to get through the last couple of weeks before break. And I think it's kind of surprising. They're not always from kids I expect. You know, there's usually some quiet kids that drop a note and they don't want to see you. They like leave it on their desk, and then, you know, you hear something positive and you don't realize you're making those connections with kids. So having that was really nice, and I appreciate whatever teacher is doing that in their classroom. The other thing has been, since we can't do a real concert, we can't do any in-person stuff, we're doing just virtual Christmas concerts. So we're recording music at school and then sharing it with parents so that they can watch their kids play. So the great thing about that, as much as it's not good having a concert, is that we can take the time we need to make a better recording than we normally would have at a concert maybe. And so I think I'm trying to take advantage of that, and the kids have actually gotten more into that than I thought they would. So, you know, kind of like you would if you went to a festival or competition or something, you would have the kids sit down and listen to it, and then they take the judge's seat, they take the critique. And then they've taken a lot of responsibility with that of, you know, trying to fix the little things that they don't usually pay attention to, and they realize things they don't hear on a regular basis when they're focusing on their part. And so I've been surprised by how much the kids want to do that and listen and make things better, and have taken a lot of ownership in that. So I think trying to make light of the fact that we can't have a concert, they're doing pretty well with that situation. So that's been fun to watch them take over as kind of the teacher seat. There's been some kids today, for example, my first class, I'm trying to take care of a kid who's sad for whatever reason, and a kid steps up and is like, all right guys, let's play this warm up, and then let's play this song. And of course it doesn't go very well, but you know, the kids, I think they start taking more of that ownership leadership role, and I think seeing that in them is very encouraging and motivating.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you've obviously set up opportunities for them to take on those roles. And I love too the idea that you've made a positive out of, okay, we can't have concerts, so let's record this and listen to it and make decisions. And that's awesome. Way to go there. So one of the things I like to talk about is it's like teaching strategies, and I like to try to find if anybody's got a little golden nugget of their own, maybe even especially if it's related to COVID. But do you have anything you'd love to like to share with us about a teaching strategy you like?
Specifically this year, I feel like I'm just going to drop the bomb on this one.
Well, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
The biggest thing that I found this year with kids, because I think motivation is hard for them without having that end goal performance right now, is they just want to have fun. And I think that as teachers, there's so many things that we want to do with kids that we don't have time because we're preparing for some kind of concert all the time. I feel like there's always stuff we want to do. So actually I did this when we were doing e-learning with my previous building, is that I had kids actually make their own recordings of themselves doing multiple parts. So they got to pick a song that they love. So let's say kid picks a Imagine Dragons tune or something. And so with the high school kids, I had them, we would talk about chord progressions. All right, well, what chords are being used in the song? Let's look it up. The kids were responsible for looking up those things, creating a basic baseline, as basic as possible, baseline, creating some harmony parts that were just usually whole notes or half notes, and then figuring out how to play the melody of their favorite song. For them was fun. Something different. It's keeping them playing. They're learning rhythms. They're reading different stuff, usually in a key that's unfortunate for them, into a pop song. And so figuring out how to break down the song that they like, but then appreciating the different aspects of the actual music in the recording process. So then from there, each week they were responsible for learning and recording one of those parts. So we started with the melody first, learning how to play the actual tune. And they got some freedoms with that. Song choice, I think, made a big difference. And then the next week they got a chance to then let's figure out how to play a bass line and create a bass line. And for some kids who took music theory and had a lot of experience, they could kind of roll with that on their own. And for the others, I could set up a class time and we had a music theory class instead of band. We're talking about breaking down those chords. And so then they'd create some simple percussion part using sticks and pots and pans at home. They're all stuck at home right now with no instruments. So then they created some kind of percussion part, and then they put all those recordings together and had one final performance. And some of the kids, I was really impressed with how much detail they really put into it to make it a good final recording, and thinking about balance and all those things. And then, for kids that were younger, I took that, and obviously they had a few selections to choose from where I had written out, pick a pop song, a country song, a rock song, a Christian tune or something. And kind of wrote things out for them. And then they learned each part, but they didn't have to actually come up with the theory process behind it. And for a lot of kids, that was just fun for them because it was different and it was music they knew. And so I think just making those connections with kids you can play the other music. We might not play it in class, but you can still do it. And I think they had a lot of fun with that. So if I get the chance with more e-learning time again, that is something I'd like to explore with the kids here. Similar situation, let them play fun stuff. Other than that, right now, I try to do fun Fridays. So if we're not doing a playing test on a Friday, kids either get a chance to pick music, or I dig through the library and find something that we wouldn't normally work on that's a little below their playing level so we can learn it in a day. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, the kids learned it last year in one of my groups as 6th graders. And so they wanted to revisit it just for fun. And so we got it back out again, and just giving the kids those opportunities to forget all of the other stuff they're dealing with and just play something they like has been probably the most fun for them, and the best way for me to make connections with those kids.
Yeah. I've done a couple similar assignments in goal, not in process. That I had one that I called the significance of music, and I just challenged the kids to I gave them all a solo that they could play at home, and said, just find a time where this can be a cathartic moment for you to just get away and use music in that way. And because that's the challenge I felt for myself, is especially as we go into we're in distance learning here, the kids have really, their energy levels really dropped, their motivation has really dropped. And I do feel, maybe in the cheesiest part of my soul, that music can help them through this. And so I've really been challenging them, not to I'm not trying to encroach on their time and add a bunch more stuff, but how can they use what they already have, the skills they already have, to use music. So I love that idea. I'm writing it down. I also love Fun Fridays. I wrote it down right away when you said it. I knew when I heard Fun Fridays, I knew it was going to be something. And those are the kind of things I really like, that I know that their teachers do all kinds of different things. And it's that's the thing that kind of keeps energy level and motivation going in kids, when they know that, Fun Friday, we're going to rip out Pirates, or we're going to do whatever they want to do that day.
Yeah.
This is out of sequence, but I never asked you, how do you know Craig?
He was my band director at DePaul. I was a student at DePaul University.
Okay.
So he taught some of my music education courses and was our concert band director.
I got to know him. I don't know if this would resonate with you at all. I recorded Pomp and Circumstance. I recorded all the parts, and it got some national news coverage. It was the catalyst for this channel, because I was like, oh, this was fun. And Craig had sent me this really nice email. I never met this guy in my life. Sent me this really nice email, and I sent him one back, and then now we've had this friendship where we're emailing back and forth. And then I ended up interviewing him for this channel in the summer, and just had a great time getting to know him a little bit better. So
he is a fan. I mean, you won't meet a better person ever. He's just a really good guy.
Yeah, I told him I'm going to find an excuse to end up in Indiana so I can work with him a little bit. So
absolutely.
Well, Erika, thank you so much for your time. This has been great. I really appreciate you and all the cool things it seems like you're doing there in Plainfield.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.